One thing you have to know about me is that this list is only 5 because I don't really play the variety of games I'd like to. I tend to stick to a few dozen or so favorites, and even that might be a high estimate. So I do tend to play through and restart Pokemon games quite often, and everyone has strong opinions on what their favorite generation is. My favorite generation is one that was hated when it was the newest one, but one that people have only become more and more fond of over time. And of course I'm talking about Generation 5. My favorite game in that generation is Black and White 2. Now, Black and White were already really good, but Black and White 2 just improved upon the foundation they laid so well. It's such a better execution of the passage of time in a single region concept than Gold and Silver that it's kinda crazy it doesn't get recognition for specifically that. Because it's that, but an entire game. And it adds so much to the region, like Pokemon from earlier regions, new places to explore, the aftermath of Team Plasma's arc from the first game, and the graphics that are the best in the main series of Pokemon, with no exceptions. The amount of detail put into each location with just the foliage, the colors, and the light placement, and the varied terrain, or how good they made the music sound with a limited sound font. They got the full capabilities out of the DS hardware in this game, and it shows. Honestly, if we had known back then how Pokemon would have turned out, I think I would have just said, no, make it look like this. Especially knowing that the graphics and 3D models would have just been dangled over our heads as the excuse for Dexit. Gameplay-wise, it doesn't get much better than Black 2 and White 2, even though this was the last set of games released before Mega Evolution and the Fairy type were introduced. By taking into account the story, characters, region, and pretty much everything else besides competitive editions from after Generation 5, I do have a hard time finding a better Pokemon game. There was once a time where Call of Duty was one of the most hated series in all of video games, being criticized for its frequent releases with very little changes to the formula. Go back and look at the reception Josh Scorcher got on some of his old videos back in the day if you don't believe me.
When I said I liked Superman 64 and top 10 nostalgic songs and a recent vlog, no one cared. I got some weird looks to be sure, but people knew that it was my opinion and they didn't get mad. But when I said I liked Call of Duty, suddenly people act like I've committed murder.
But even when it was hated, it was still a best-selling game series, and a lot of the games in the series from that time were people's favorites. If you were to ask a bunch of people what their favorite COD game was, chances are they'd be one of Modern Warfare, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, or probably the most popular one of the bunch, Black Ops 2. Once Ghosts came out, people really lost their loyalty to the series, and honestly, I was kind of one of them. But even having said that, my favorite COD game isn't one of the ones in the group that I just listed. My favorite COD game is actually Black Ops 3. I've probably sunk more hours into this COD than any other, and I really don't understand why it doesn't get as praised as much as Black Ops 2. In my opinion, this game had some of the most fun weapons to use, a really fun specialist character system, and some of the most fun maps in the entire series. If there was a Combine-only playlist, I don't know that I'd ever turn the game off. I know people were somewhat turned off by the loot boxes, which is definitely a problem when you have to sink a bunch of money for a chance at a DLC weapon instead of just being able to buy the weapon. And while I do acknowledge that was a problem with the game, I don't even think you need to spend 1 second with those to have fun or to win at the game. People just also tend to have a hard stance that the jetpack games are all bad, without question, because they were jetpack games. And to that I have to respectfully disagree. Advanced Warfare was actually pretty good in my opinion, and I think Black Ops 3 just takes it and optimizes every aspect of it to its full potential. Instead of being able to just jump twice and charge forward like an AW, your jump height is represented by a meter that empties the longer you press A. The longer you press A, the higher you jump. And the map design takes full advantage of this. To bridge the gap of some of the AW maps being quite tall but laterally uninteresting, Black Ops 3 introduced wall running, which is one of the most brilliant ways to make more maps fun. And they introduced swimming as well. The games are a lot better flowing and a lot more fast-paced than pretty much any COD before or after this one. And as a matter of fact, when you play Black Ops 3 and then play another COD, they all pretty much feel slow and clunky by comparison, even the newer ones. And while Infinite Warfare was a valiant effort to basically copy Black Ops 3's game, they didn't quite get the game speed or map design right. So yeah, Black Ops 3 is my favorite COD game, and I really do wish people felt the same way. think I'm going to try to keep this one brief, as I think it's the entry on here that probably needs the least explanation. If you're familiar with Minecraft, or even if you don't like it yourself, you'd probably have a hard time not at least admitting you can see why it's so addictive. When you boot up the game and start a new world, there's pretty much a limitless amount of possibilities within the game, even if all of them pretty much just start with punching trees. But the great thing about this game is that there quite literally is something for everyone. It can be a building game, a survival game, a hunting game, a combat game, an exploration game, an adventure game, or even a puzzle game with some of the maps people have created. Even if you have one of those styles you lean more towards, you've probably played all of them at least once. I suppose I should explain which version of the game I prefer playing so you get the full effect of how I play. I still to this day haven't really gone away from Legacy Console Edition, and my reason for this is that, to me, it's just a better game than Bedrock Edition. I still do like the Java Edition, though I prefer to play with a controller, so Legacy Console Edition is what I end up playing most of the time. And Pocket Edition, if that's still your preferred way to play in 2025, what are you doing with your life? Also, I tend to play with a texture pack that keeps all the old textures because I think the game feels more like Minecraft when done that way. For me, when they replaced the textures, it felt like everything became a cheap imitation of Minecraft, which isn't really a good thing because it was still the same game. But either way, it doesn't really affect my enjoyment that much, and I'll still boot up Minecraft anytime when I'm feeling bored or whatever else. When it comes to the Civilization series, I started with Revolution, which is honestly not the best game in the series, but as it introduced me to the series, I hold it in high regard for that reason. As for my favorite Civilization game, I have to go with 6. I know everyone loves 5, and it is really good, but I personally had more fun with 6, and as of the making of this video, I haven't played 7, so I don't know if it's better or worse than either of those. I think what attracts me to Civilization 6, and the series in general, is that while it is a strategy game, there's not one thing that's the best to do and that everyone does because nothing else is viable. You can play the game striving for pretty much any victory with any civilization or leader. That's not to say that they don't have their own strengths and weaknesses, they obviously do, but that doesn't mean that any two playthroughs have to be the same. A lot of people had their problems with the district system, but honestly, it's what really ties this all together in my opinion. Each city now seems more optimized to its focus and geography, and it makes each of them seem unique. Plus, it gives more tiles purpose, and some extra things to keep in mind in combat situations. If I had one gripe with the game, it'd be the disaster system added in the Gathering Storm expansion, and the fact that there's no Venice-level unique civilizations in 6. With ones like Canada or New Zealand, really, you can get close, but it is still a minor problem I have with the game. I have sunk hundreds of hours into Civilization 6, and that number is only going to go up because of how fun the game is. Yes, Hades is my favorite video game I've ever played. For those of you that haven't played it, hearing me say that probably surprises you, because at first glance it doesn't look too spectacular. But for those that have played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hades is a game where you play as Zagreus, the son of Hades trying to escape the underworld. It's an isometric perspective dungeon crawler where you kill enemies to advance to the next room. There's lots of branching paths and the layouts are pretty much random aside from a few predetermined bosses, meaning playthroughs stay fresh. And you will be playing through this game a lot, because once you die, you go all the way back to the beginning. No continues, no nothing. Aside from the game just being really addictive and fun to play, its design is really well thought out as well. In each playthrough, after you clear a room, you're either given a power-up from the pantheon of Greek gods, or a currency of some kind that can allow you to buy things that aid you during the current playthrough, or currency that allows you to buy upgrades in the hub world when you die. This makes it so that even if you die a lot, the more you play, you'll be rewarded. And even as monotonous as the game may look, there's a lot of variety and customization with different weapons and power-up choices, meaning each playthrough is truly the player's own. I've made a vow to myself to only purchase the sequel once I've actually beaten the first game. Because yes, I still haven't beaten this game after all this time. But Either way, it's still really addicting, and I expect to do so at some point. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave your own list in the comments below, and have a good one.